something beautiful is on its way to you. This is the experience of a lifetime, my dear friend. You want to give yourself this at all costs to your ego, your pride, and your fears. Love, it's everywhere. It's beautiful. It lives within. It doesn't need to be created. It is already there for you. We've hiked down 3 canyons, and here we are. Let's shoot it, baby. I feel the funky chicken, the funky Messiah. Yes! Search for yourself on your own. Go within yourself. Find it within your breath, within your very spirit. Mrs. Nixon is done. Now I want to do a little magic trick. A spiritual path brings us to a place in our life where we discover the diamond and we learn how to pull it out of the mud. It's all very interesting. Welcome back to What's the Point of It All? We're going to work on something quite different. We're going to work on the essence of what it means to experience impermanence, because that's one of the basic ebb and flows of life, the nature of life. Now, what does it mean to live in impermanence? What does impermanence mean? It means that everything is changing. Everything's in a flux. There's an old Zen saying, and it's true. No man can put his foot into the river twice. Because once you put your foot into the river, it's changing underneath you. Everything, the current, the rocks, the sand, the bank, the leaves, everything is changing. Nothing ever stays the same. But the mind wants everything to stay the same. How can my mind, which thinks in terms of permanence, think in terms of impermanence? It can't. And because I think in that way, because my mind is so rigid, thinking this is right, and this is wrong, and this is good, and this is bad, which is permanent thinking, looking at impermanence, I cannot appreciate beauty. I can't understand the ebb and flow of life, and I lose the meaning and the significance of everything around me, especially those things that are beautiful. When I present impermanence to my students, it's usually in a meditation class or in a Silomar retreat or something, and I'm trying to help them to experience the beauty of something, maybe the beauty of a meditation. The hardest thing for them to understand is that you have to accept everything as it is in the nature of what it is. What is the nature of a plant, a rock, a tree, the moon, the stars? Each has its own science. Each has its own place and its own beauty. They're all very, very significant, but the thing that's most important to understand is they're impermanent. They're always changing. And once you understand that life is full of changes, that life is change, and that everything is a flow, you'll drop the mind very quickly. You see, to drop the mind means that I begin to not understand life, but be able to feel the presence of life in everything. If I'm going to enter into the beauty and the significance of personal transformation, I'm going to have to come to that very sacred place where I'm willing to transform through change. So the point of it all is to live each moment just as it is, without anticipation or hope for the next moment to be any different than the way it is. That is the significance and the meaning of impermanence. When I'm starting to live my life more consciously, more meditatively, it means I've come to a certain place in my life where I'm willing to look at life not from the point of view of how I believe it should be, but to be non-judgmental and accepting about everything as it is, without the need for criticism or judgment or conclusion on my part. Now I have put myself in an ebb and a flow of freedom to experience life as impermanent. Now, that is a problem for most of us. because of the way we were taught to try to control this life through our beliefs and our attitudes. But how can you really control life? It's absolutely impossible for me to even think of the idea of controlling this life. How do I control it? Do I make time stop? Do I make you stop? Do I make my child stop growing? It isn't time that we're up against. It's the flow of life. There is no such thing as time. And once I am removed from time in my mind, once my mind is no longer counting seconds anymore, all I have are moments in the now. Understanding moments in the now is what meditation really is all about. It affords me a chance to really understand the way life works. Life is not about going anywhere or doing anything significant. It's about simplicity. Life is so simple. In this moment, that is happening. In that moment, this is happening. In another moment, something else might be happening. They're all just moments, each and every one of them sacred, each and every one of them filled with beauty. When I am willing to be impermanent inside, it means I'm not trying to capture any given moment or make it anything more than what it is. And actually, it means I'm not afraid of death anymore. One of the reasons why we have such difficulty with impermanence is because we're afraid to die. We're afraid that if we die, we end. We are so perpetually involved in the idea of what it means inside of our life to live as eternal. We want to think that we're always going to be the same person we are now and forever, and that's not true. Holding to the idea that I'll always be the same, I'll always think the same, I'll always act the same, I'll always feel the same is a sick and sad moment in my life. Transformation occurs when I'm willing to let things change according to the nature of the moment. Change is the very nature of life. It goes beyond the idea of changing for the sake of something better or worse. Life is always in a flux, in a movement. And if I'm in my practice, I let life change around me. Sometimes I'm in fall or winter or summer or spring. It doesn't really matter. I'm always in the flux, the move of change. People come, people go, things change in life. And every change has a beautiful season to it and a significance to it that most people miss because they're so busy trying to keep things the same. I can't keep my life the same. I can't keep you the same. You can't keep me the same. We have to be growing. To me, growth is acceptance of things as they are and the willingness on my part to go with the flow of things gracefully, with kindness and compassion. The greatest personal transformation I will ever have in my life is the ability to be so flexible on the inside that I am able as a person to allow things to change around me as well as within me and never look back and wish for more or less. Now that is significant. When I'm not wishing for more or less, when I'm in this now moment, I've come to a very unique place in life. I've come to a place where I can be with life without it being what I think it ought to be. Now I'm not trying to change things or manipulate things. Now things can be what they are. A tree can be a tree. A rose can be a rose. Dog poop can be dog poop. And nothing ever needs to be perfect because you don't have to be perfect to be in this life because everything is perfect just as it is. I don't know. I get a kick out of people. They think that life has to be a certain way before it can be fun or meaningful or loving or kind. They look at life and they think, well, you know, if things were as good as yesterday, we'd be happy now. Or maybe if we work real hard tomorrow, it'll be a better future. No, 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 no. You're missing your entire life now. And that's one of the greatest mistakes I make is missing my life because I'm too busy trying to make it what I think it ought to be to fit my taste, my ideas of right and wrong, good and bad. Acceptance being non-judgmental, that, as it were, is the most important thing I do in my practice and with people and myself. I've had a lot of things change in my world and in my life. When I entered into this practice, I had no idea what was going to happen to me. I had no idea how this was going to happen or how that would happen or that I'd even be talking to you today on this television program. But lo and behold, here I am. And only because of my lack of judgment and acceptance am I here in this moment with you. I've always wondered why people don't change or transform. Why don't I? It's because a lot of us hold on to ideas about ourselves and about life. We're very rigid about what we think of as good and bad, right and wrong. What's the point of holding on to that? Where is the growth? Where is the change? To understand life, I have to be extremely observant, which means non-judgmental. I have to be accepting of things I cannot understand up here or cannot rationalize up here. Most of us rationalize our evil to such a degree that we are able to look at anything we do and make it fit our circumstance. Well, it was perfectly right for me to think that way or act like that. Where does impermanence play in that? It means I stay in a certain level of thinking, a base level of thinking, over and over and over and over and over again. I never mature. I never let anything change me. What could ever change you? Are you willing of change? Would you let life change you? Would you let love change you? If we're really in the flow of life and understand the point of it all, as it were, we begin to see that we have to let things change us. I have to let love change me. I have to let circumstances change me. I have to often be put in circumstances I don't understand. And then those circumstances cause me pain and some suffering and some disillusionment. And if I'm wise, I let it cause me pain and disillusionment. And I let myself mourn and suffer a little bit. And then I understand. I come into a new realm of understanding. Maybe one that's bigger, kinder, more compassionate, and obviously wiser. Most people don't change. They'd rather go into hatred. If you don't accept impermanence, you will fall into hatred. You will start hating the way you are, hating the things you do, hating the way people treat you, hating what's happening to you, until your whole life is a series of nothing but hatred. One hatred after another. And as Buddha said, hate never yet dispelled hate. Only love dispels hate. Now, how is anything in my life going to change when I don't let things change themselves? Once I'm allowing things to change without judgment and reasoning, I come into transformation and love. Many years ago when I was in India, I was having a particular difficulty with my spiritual practice, and the master that I was sitting with at the time gave me this very particular meditation, which he called Beloved. He called me Beloved, but he also called the meditation Beloved. And it's something that I've used from time to time in my life when I've been feeling, clogged up and I can't allow myself to feel what it is I need to feel. For me, this meditation, I have to tell you, I'm very sentimental about. I kept it to myself for many, many years. And then recently with my students at an Asilomar retreat, I shared it with them and we started doing it. And Bodhi, who does all of our music and the meditations with me, he creates the CDs that many of you enjoy. I think you'll find it to be one of the most simple and beautiful meditations of all. Let me tell you a little bit about the background, then I'm going to have Bodhi and Sangeet show you how it works, and we'll do it together. And you can do it with us at home. It's so simple. The whole idea is to breathe in and out through the heart chakra. Probably one of the most beautiful points of our life is to feel what it is that we are doing, to feel what's going on inside of us. When I get confused or when I'm upset, it's because I've lost contact with the presence that lives within me of my own heart. So what this meditation is about is breathing in through the heart, right here through the heart chakra. Imagine you're just taking a very deep breath of energy in through the heart, and it's going out your back. And you hold out the back. So I'm breathing in, and I hold, And then I release out the heart chakra, and then I hold again. And then I breathe in through the heart and hold, and out through the heart and hold. And I remember my master saying to me, he said, this will be very good for you, Suraj. He says, you think too much. And I do think too much. A lot of us get too analytical. In the CD that you're going to be hearing, you'll hear a heartbeat in the back. This constant heartbeat is something very beautiful. In India, what we had were drums, and they would just hit the drums very lightly to the beat of the heart while we did this meditation. It was one of the most, well, sweet and spectacular of all meditations. So what I'd like to do is offer it to you now. Bodhi and Sangeet, there's no inner preparation to do. You can follow along with us at home, listening. Take a deep breath in, as though you're taking a breath into your heart chakra, going right out the back side of you, and hold, and then release it. And the energy comes back through the heart chakra, and you hold it here. In through the heart chakra, and hold back here, and out through the heart chakra, and hold right here. Now, while they're doing this, go on ahead and continue. While they're breathing in and out of their heart chakra, they're going into what is called third person, which is where they are watching and observing what is going on. They're not in first person anymore or second, third person. They're looking at the meditation. They're letting it go. They're dissolving into the heart chakra. They are not thinking about technique. Is this working? When is it going to change my life? They're not going into any analytical stuff. All they're doing is practicing their breath. It's real simple. Watch. Taking a deep breath in and holding at the end of the breath, and then releasing. As they stay in third person, they're going to find for themselves a sense of calm and peace. I know, not much looks like it's happening right now as they do this meditation, but much more is going on inside of them than you might imagine. And while they've been with me for many years and practiced for many years, this particular meditation draws in all of my students a particular warmth and kindness on the inside. And it reestablishes your roots in your heart, your soul, and your essence. And it reminds you of the energy that you can live by if you just remember the energy of your heart and abandon those thoughts that make us so reckless and unkind and ambitious. I hope you enjoyed this particular meditation. We're going to take a brief break and be right back with a wrap-up of today's program. So what did we learn in this particular edition of What's the Point of It All? We learned about impermanence. Hopefully you will understand that everything in this life is impermanent. Nothing stays the same, and there's nothing you can do about it. The best thing to do is go with the ebb and flow of life and not try to fight it, not try to make it any different than what it is, not try to make it like it was yesterday, but to live in the now moment. This means I'm going to have to be a little more graceful about the way I live my life. I'm going to have to be willing to accept things as they come. Everything is a lesson. Some things are going to come to break your heart, or what seems to be your heart. Other things are going to be there to fulfill you. Sometimes you're going to achieve great things, and then other times you're going to lose great things. That's the ebb and flow and the impermanence of life. Everything has a meaning and a significance to it. And if I am really wise on the inside and I live my life a little more meditatively, I don't come to rash decisions about anything, conclusions about anything that happens to me in this life. The biggest mistake we make is to come to some conclusion about how life is. Let life unfold. Let it change without you and I comparing it, without saying, well, it was better in those days, or maybe it'll be better tomorrow. Stop it. Live in this moment. Let it change. In a blink of an eye, it's going to be different. And if you have the heart for it, and you have the willingness on the inside to let it change without trying to judge it or compare it, you're going to find this thing is magic called life. Life is magic. It is the magic of you and me living in the alchemy of God, of love. So be playful with this whole experience. Let life change for you. No matter where it goes, there you are. Please forgive me for this one, huh? Namaste. One of the things my students have the most difficult time with is me getting this right. Well, righty-tighty. Let me do it again.
Many things we have tried on Greg Penn to awaken him. He's a very stubborn man. For instance, I tried to teach him the Dharma, but he gave it a new meaning, Dhamma.
There's an old saying in Zen that no man can put his foot into a stream twice.
He calls the Dhammapada the Dhammapada. He's not very bright. He really isn't.
Meditation.
Medication.
Medication to meditation. They continue looking at life from that point of view.
Damnation.
I had no idea how this was going to happen.
That was the one. Thank you.
That's the one. We got it.
That's a
pretty good.
dilly,
Yeah, baby.
both in camera swings and in discourse.
We were swinging, baby.
Yeah, we were swinging.